a Bernina buttonhole is one of the greatest stitches and feet that this machine has. So no matter if you don't sew clothing, there's always a time and place for a buttonhole, whether it's to finish a pillow or something that goes over your oven door for like a hand towel, or just something decorative. You want to do buttonholes and run some ribbon through it around the curtains or shower curtain, those little rings at the top. You could make your own and then do those openings, but make them buttonholes so they stay nice and secure. So first off, you will find your buttonholes in its own menu, and then go to number 51. That's like the standard one. There are other choices for buttonholes. There's stretch buttonholes, keyhole buttonholes, a really skinny one for lighter weight fabrics. Yes, good. And then even a single line buttonhole that would be good for like a suede or even a bound buttonhole. That's a whole nother technique as well. And then also you find in the buttonhole menu is your sewing on buttons, your eyelets, as well as a couple other things too. So let's start with 51. So the foot that it recommends is 3A. This comes with the machine. You do have a couple ways to program button lengths into this. So I'm going to show you the easiest one first. So first off, the way you want to attach this is hold it in your right hand and come in from the right side up the little cone and secure it with your fingers. So you don't have to struggle, just scoop it in and attach it. So the needle thread is going to be over the top of your buttonhole. If this bothers you, the easiest thing to do is just take a few stitches, and then after it starts to snip this, and then it'll be underneath the foot for all the rest of your buttonholes. And of course you would test your buttonhole before you actually did it on your actual project. So as soon as you do that first one, that will be all taken care of. So let's say we have our button. You have the ability to go into the eye for information and tell the machine what size of button you need a buttonhole for. So you are going to go into where it says 16. That's like a default stitch length. And you'll notice that when you touch it, you will have a little kind of small square positioned in the lower right corner here. So what we need to do is hold the button up to the screen, place that around or at the corner, and then make the square match the button. All right, so you probably want to dip down, look really close, and see that all the edges look nice and even. Take that off. Oh, I touched the echo. There we go. And then it is all set for that length. So once you come out of there, you'll see that the length was 20.5 millimeters, and auto means that it is automatically ready to stitch. Now I'm going to just go ahead and start stitching because, and here, once I take a few stitches, I'll just snip that needle thread, and then it's out of my way. The other thing that you can do is use your start-stop button. So if you don't even want to have your foot on the foot control, just push start. It's going to stitch down the entire way of the left side of the buttonhole. Go back to the beginning, tack at the top, stitch down the right side, tack, lock it, and then all you need to do is touch the scissor button and cut the thread. So once this is actually done, you will find that you have a perfectly stitched buttonhole. And when I say perfect, it's because that as it stitched down the right side, or wait, no, it did left side first, left side, then it went back and then stitched down the right side. Both those satin stitches are coming the same direction. If you ever had some other machines in the past, some in the zigzag goes down and then a zigzag goes up, that the two sides aren't always balanced. They don't look as pretty, and you always struggle to kind of make them look sort of close. But with a Bernina buttonhole, it's always the same direction with the satin stitches, and that's what makes it look so perfect. So go ahead and open this. If this is the size that you're looking for, then you are ready to repeat it. So if I just put it in, all I need to do is put my needle directly above the starting point for the next buttonhole and go ahead and stitch. So that's super easy. I could do 100 of these and they'd be all the same length over and over and over. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to clear that out. You'll notice when I touch clear, 16, that default setting of length, returned back. And the other way that you can actually set this, and I'm going to just draw on my fabric with a fabric marker. That would be a fabric marker, not a ballpoint pen. All right, is let's say I placed my button onto my fabric and then I drew a start and an end point for it. So the first time that I stitch this, the machine will be you might say counting the stitches, we're going to use the record section. So all it's going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I placed my needle to be directly above the first line I drew. I'm going to sew down to the second line I drew. Now the machine doesn't know where that line is, so I am physically stopping it myself. And notice what you have on screen. See this little pulsating picture of a reverse button and it is showing. All I need to do is touch that one time. When I do that, the machine will then go into takeover mode. It stitches back to the beginning, does a little tack at the top, stitches that second row of stitching down, but now it knows how long to make it, and the tack and the lock once again. So what we've just done is we have measured or sewn that first buttonhole into what I'll call memory. So now it's ready, and now it will say auto because it has recorded that length once again for what the button is, and I can read you that over and over and over. Now I couldn't have planned that when I drew those lines. I actually did it the exact same amount. Look, it says 20.5 on that one. That is a total fluke. That did not just happen, or that was because of where I turned around. That was the same length. So that's what two good-looking buttonholes are as well. Now, there is a manual version of this. So the manual version is each of these legs separated by a step. So you'll see like 1, 2, 3, and you can kind of see it changing on screen like what each of these steps are. So if you need to manually maybe fix a buttonhole, you could actually go to the step that you need to fix and position it and actually do just that step, or the tack or the locking stitches, whatever you would need it to be. Notice that the foot it recommends is 3C. This does not come with the machine, but it is a buttonhole foot with 2 grooves underneath it, so it actually guides you down the little satin stitch humps and keeps it so your buttonhole doesn't like veer off to the side. So you don't really want to try it just with a regular foot because there's nothing to kind of guide that buttonhole. There's no grooves, but that is an optional foot. If you did need to do that, that's what the manual option actually is. And then you can also do it with that same foot to record the length of it. So this one is more the automatic one. That's why they include this with your machine. But if you ever need a buttonhole that is longer than the foot allows you to do, your next purchase is a Bernina Foot 3C buttonhole 3 coated foot. And then you can do buttonholes that were like this long, obviously longer than the foot. So give your buttonholes a try. Do notice that your tension is automatically reduced. That's what makes them look so pretty on the top, because the threads are pulled to the back side and you have awesome looking buttonholes, which is really where everybody sees them, is from the top side.